when discussing communication, we often use terminologies such as receptive and expressive language. The child's ability to understand language, that's the receptive, or say words, that's the expressive. While children with autism do have challenges with one or both, a central challenge is with the in-between, the processing of information in order to come up with an appropriate in-context response. Think about it. Even if she perfectly understands what is conveyed to her, and she has a large enough repertoire of words available to her, she still needs to come up with a response that fits the message that she received. This is a new understanding about an important aspect of autism, the processing required to come up with a response that fits, recently referred to as contextual thinking, responding based on the context. A very important experience for children with autism is to have the practice of responding to something new, in which they do not use a rehearsed, rote response, but are engaged in the brain gymnastics of coming up with a response in context. Now, the spectrum, the quote-unquote spectrum, is wide because kids on the spectrum have very different levels of challenge with their ability to respond in context. In this clip, I will give two examples of providing your child with the practice of responding to newness, to something new. Like in teaching anything, it is important to aim to the level the child is comfortable with, not too high and not too low. Set the stage to challenge your child, but in a way that allows them to succeed. The first example is a child for whom language is not yet available and who is very self-absorbed, hard to engage. So let's say that the child is stacking blocks and you want to join in. So you might hand the blocks to the child. You might want to add a soundtrack to this, as we discussed in the previous, in one of the previous clips. So boop, beep, boop, whip, boop, beep. Your child is clearly with you. You are part of the action. When that happens and you participate in this circle of communication, allow for repetition. The child enjoys the repetition. It is something that is motivating. But then you want to add a new element to the interaction, and then you want to add something new. So what happens is, on the way to handing the block, the crane that brings the block is stuck. The child is highly motivated to continue the game as it was. And let's say the child just touches your hand. When the child touches your hand, that is the thing that makes the crane work again. Whoop, beep, beep. And again, child touches your hand. Whoop, beep. This way, you introduce something that is new to the interaction, and that the element that is new is the child need to activate the crane when the crane gets stuck. For children that are very self-absorbed, this is a big deal, adding a new component like this, because it's on the way of over time introducing more and more newness. Slow but steady wins this race. And now an example of a child with language, probably older, who likes to play pretend. He especially likes to play going to the beach, something the family actually often does. In the pretend, everybody gets into the van, load towels, picnic food, and off they go. Arriving to the beach, they swim, eat, buy ice cream, eat the ice cream, and drive back. This scenario is well established and very well liked, and is often repeated with the exact same sequence. as you probably made the connection by now, the story does not change. It does not change because change will require a new response to a new story development, which is hard for him to do. So he, like most children with autism, often prefers sameness. So one time, while going through the sequence, when the family arrived to the pretend beach, and the father might exclaim with great expression, "Oh no! I forgot my bathing suit." The child looks almost pained and says, "Swim." "But no bathing suit," the father exclaimed. The child hesitates and seems to be thrown off by the change in the storyline. But then he says, "Bye." "This is a great idea," the father exclaims. "I go buy a bathing suit." In this small example, the child came up with an original response to a new situation, not by using a rote response, but a response that fits the new context of the father not having a bathing suit. So go ahead and experiment, parents. Follow your child's lead. Use nature's language. Slow down, allow for repetition, and then make a small playful change. It's a great practice for your child with the very important brain skill of spontaneously responding to newness.